Kelley and Peter are officially a couple, but it's been quite a journey to get here. We're taking a look at their complete timeline and sorting out all sides to the story.
Hey you guys, welcome back to Shared News. We are going over Peter's complete timeline today of all the drama that's gone down. But before we get into it all, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so we can keep you updated on all things going on in Bachelor Nation. We are back here again. I'm Renee Ariel, and I'm joined by the wonderful, the amazing Fiona Zaring.
Hello.
So Fiona, we got a lot to talk about today because I don't know if you heard, but Peter had a very dramatic journey being the Bachelor, following the Bachelor to find love. And today we are going to share how he got there. But before we really get into where he is now, let's start with when he was the Bachelor.
Oh my, okay, we have a lot to talk about. As you said, Peter has had a long journey. Let's pick it up basically at the end of Peter's season. As we all remember, Peter and Kelley met before the show started. She was an early favorite. They had great chemistry. It got a little rocky there in the middle, and then she was sent home in 6th place. Maddie, another front runner, chose to self-eliminate. She and Peter were too different. They just couldn't make it work. There was a lot of drama with the family. And then Hannah Ann, his one and only, the woman he proposed to, almost didn't even show up to the engagement because she did not feel that Peter had done enough to make her feel like she was the one. So Peter's season ended in a very dramatic place, but Kelley was nowhere to be found. She was not a part of the narrative. And it really, for a minute there, came down to Maddie and Hannah Ann. I think we should also mention that woman tell all moment because that sort of has a little something going on with Kelley, if you want to take that one.
Totally. Well, before it came down to two women, there was the women tell all. And this is when a lot of theories were going crazy about who Peter was going to end up with. I don't know if you guys remember, but at one point people thought he was going to end up with his producer, Julie LaPlaca. Didn't happen. But at Women Tell All, Kelley was not there and people were super upset because obviously she was a favorite. And also, they were thinking, does this mean Kelley perhaps ends up with Peter? Because obviously Peter had been sharing that like no one will guess the ending to his season. So fans were thinking that it was proven that she was with Peter because she posted a photo on Instagram proving that she was in LA at the time of the taping, but wasn't at the taping. And we all know she lives in Chicago. So naturally, sparked some rumors.
Totally. Leading up to after the final rose, obviously we saw Peter propose to Hannah Ann. Hannah Ann accepted. So we're thinking after the final rose, we're going to see Peter and Hannah Ann, except they've been teasing relentlessly that we don't know what the ending is. So there's got to be a twist. Well, Hannah Ann and Peter's relationship basically started off rocky. And she dumped him, as we all saw in that epic moment before they got to after the final rose. Chris Harrison goes and lets Maddie know, which was really just a final Hail Mary to try to have Peter's story come up with a happy ending. We saw on the finale, after the final rose, Maddie does surprise Peter in person. They have a little moment. And then after that, they only communicated via phone until they literally stepped on stage at After the Final Rose. On After the Final Rose, we see Hannah Ann once again sort of epically shut down Peter. She let him have it. She said her piece. She really came out of this looking like a rock star. People were really rooting for her, still are to this day. And then there is this interesting moment where Kelley is in the audience and Chris Harrison calls out her being there saying it's quote important. So why to this day no one's really sure, but Kelley was in the audience this time. She was not at Women Tell All. She did pop up after the final rose. Maddie comes out. We all know what happened there. It was tough to see. Barb really let her have it. Maddie fired back. It got very, very uncomfortable. In interviews that they've done significantly after this, Peter says that he regrets the decision to not see Maddie before they showed up on stage together. He said, quote, "The reason we did that is we wanted it to be completely authentic. I don't know if that was the best choice." And Maddie revealed long after the fact that she regrets not apologizing to Barb in that moment. So they each have come forward and said that after the final rose did feel like a bit of a mismanaged situation for each of them. And if you remember, they did no press, which is super unprecedented. Neither of them did a single interview after that. At this point, it was the official end of the season. So that moment is really when Bachelor Nation started watching all of Peter's love life play out just in the real world. What happened after the final rose?
Well, Fiona, after the final rose, things got real juicy because on March 11th, Barb made it very clear that she wants her son to date Kelley. She commented on her Instagram, writing, and I quote, "The most beautiful, elegant, classy, intelligent, stylish girl in the world." Lots of compliments to have. So obviously this made people wonder what was going on behind the scenes, if Kelley was involved somehow. And then, you guys, things got more suspicious because on March 12th, Peter and Maddie came to the conclusion that the relationship will not work. And Reality Steve tweeted this: "Let's just say ever since Super Bowl weekend, just days after he ended his engagement to Hannah Ann, there have been rumors swirling Peter spent the weekend with Kelley. I don't know if we can rule those out anymore." So now we're hearing Peter and Maddie aren't working out. Peter's mom is obsessed with Kelley. Reality Steve is saying something went down Super Bowl weekend. But that same day, Kelley shut down rumors to E! News saying, quote, "I've heard that. I heard that I'm pregnant, and I also heard that I'm with Peter right now. I'm not with Peter. I promise I'm not dating Peter. I'm not dating Peter." So now we're all kinds of confused at this point because we don't know if Peter's just ending up alone, if Barb is on this Kelley train on her own. But cut to some drama that happens at the end of March. We learned it's not just Barb that loves Kelley.
The end of March is when things really start to heat up. So obviously Maddie and Peter put their big dramatic Instagram posts up. They've gone their separate ways. And we're sort of just waiting to see what happens next. Some people are still rooting for them. Some people think Peter's going to take his time, be single. Well, on March 25th, Kelley and Peter are spotted in Chicago by none other than TMZ. There are photos that basically, I'm not going to say break the internet, but break Bachelor Nation. Everyone was so shocked. And I think it's important to note here that those go live March 25th, and Maddie's birthday, which will become important momentarily, is March 26th. Let's move past the end of March, though, to April 2nd. April 2nd is the day that fans figured out that Peter is staying at Kelley's apartment. As I've said many times, Bachelor Nation is basically a bunch of FBI agents, and people noticed that in that, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, cringe video of Peter dancing, it's Kelley's rug in the background. So at this point, we know they're quarantining together. And Peter basically confirms it because he went ahead and tagged Kelley in an Instagram video he made reacting to the comments on said cringy dancing TikTok. Moving on to April 5th, Kelley and Peter, again, they're not shying away from the fact that they're quarantining together, and they post that Full House inspired TikTok video.
Yeah, and then, you guys, things get real crazy on April 7th because Peter finally opens up about what's going on in a podcast. So he went on Nick Vial's podcast. This is the first time we really have heard him speak on any of this. He opened up about him and Maddie's breakup. He said, "I remember going to her hotel. It was super sad. For probably 6 hours, we stayed on her bed there. We laughed, we cried, we hugged each other. It was rough." And then on top of that, he addressed the rumors going on with Kelley, saying that there's a lot of stuff that people don't know, but his relationship with Kelley has been, as he put it, serendipitous. So he's saying that when they first ran into each other, how that was kind of a sign, and then it didn't work on the show, but then they saw each other at the Super Bowl, which is very interesting considering Reality Steve's tweet, and just how everything played out since. Peter also opened up about how when they were reconnected by some mutual friends, that's when he officially got her number, and then they started communicating, and then they decided to naturally quarantine together with Dustin. But he did say, like, according to their relationship status, they are not dating, but he loves spending time with her, and he said he could see that in the future. So at this point, we're thinking something's a brewing. Maybe they're not together now, but clearly he has a relationship with Kelley on his mind. He did make a point to say he just doesn't want to jump into a relationship, so he's taking things slow, which we all, I'm sure, could agree with considering how his season played out. Also on April 7th, Peter and Kelley went on the Almost Famous podcast. And you guys, they were asked, there's a crush going on. And Peter said, and I quote, "Yes, I'm definitely crushing on her for sure." They were also asked if there's any girls he wishes he would have kept longer on the show. And he confirms that it was Kelley he wishes stayed a little bit longer, which, duh. And this is when he revealed her nickname, Chop Chop, which, as we know, has continued to last on.
So April 7th was quite a big day. April 9th, though, I think this should just get a quick mention. This is Hannah Ann's, I would say, last hurrah. It is her formal exit from the narrative. She was on Kaitlyn Bristowe's Off the Vine podcast, and she compares Peter's manhood to cauliflower, calling it bland and boring. At this point, she also wiped all evidence of Peter from her social media. Basically, he popped up in Chicago and she said, "I got one final piece of tea to spill, and I'm taking this man off my Instagram and I'm done." So this is Hannah Ann's formal, final, I'd say fairly epic exit from Peter's narrative. She's living in Los Angeles now, living her best life. She's got a new flame. She's done. She's out. That's April 9th, in case anybody wants to congratulate her on that special day. April 14th, Dustin posts that, you know, those TikTok trends where people use the audio. I'm sure you've all seen it. It's the one where people say, "Did you make me food?" And then the girl responds, "Did you make me your wife? That's why you didn't get any food." Poor rendition of it. I would recommend watching theirs. Dustin posts a video of Peter and Kelley executing that trend, and he captioned it, "Third wheel is getting weird, guys."
You really didn't make me no food.
Did you make me your wife?
What?
It's not rhetorical. Did you make me your wife?
No, you know I didn't.
So you should know I didn't make you no food.
Damn.
And this one was a moment that really stood out to me because I've never referred to myself as a third wheel in any other context than when hanging out with a couple or hanging out with two people who are flirting or dating or on a romantic path in some way. So that was sort of another like fairly clear confirmation that they weren't shying away from something going on between the two of them.
Yes, and obviously while this was all going on, we couldn't help but wonder how the other girls were handling this new possible relationship going on between Kelley and Peter, especially Maddie, considering how things ended. And you guys, on April 19th, this is when Maddie posted the TikTok along with Tammy, McKenna, Kelsey, Kiara, and Deandra doing the Pass the Brush challenge. And they used the song "I Can Take Your Man," which you guys probably know has the chorus that goes, "I can take a man if I want to, but lucky for you, I don't want to." So naturally, seeing all these Bachelor Nation girls, especially all from Peter's season, doing this challenge, someone commented saying, "Where's Kelley?" And the shade came in when Maddie responded saying, "With our ex." Naturally, considering the song that was used, considering she was left out of it, and Maddie's answer, people immediately jumped to the conclusion that there was some drama going on between Maddie, possibly the girls, and Kelley.
So Kelley seemingly replies to all of this on April 20th. Obviously that TikTok they made like we're in quarantine. It made headlines. Everybody was talking about it. And Kelley likes and then unlikes this tweet. It was, so this was from a fan. Haven't all they done is throw shade at Kelley and Peter ever since they were seen together? There comes a point in time where they need to move on and be happy for each other and not bring people down. It's not that hard, people. So again, Kelley likes and then unlikes the tweet. And that, of course, also makes news. And Maddie comments on a Bachelor Nation sort of gossip page that posted about the shade. She saw this post and she commented, LOL, it was just a joke, no shade, all love for them both. Now, this is on April 20th. April 21st, though, Maddie really spills all the tea. So let's move on to that because I think that's a more important day. What happened?
Oh, I agree. But before we get into what Maddie said, speaking of unliking and liking things, make sure you give this video a thumbs up so we can continue to talk all things Bachelor Nation and give you some more timelines in the future. Okay, now let's get to the drama. Because yes, Maddie did open up big time on April 21st, going on Kaitlyn Bristowe's podcast, Off the Vine. And this is where, for the first time, she came out saying that her and Kelley were best friends. Now, obviously, we knew that everyone was friendly on the show, aside from the people that were not friendly to each other. So it made sense that we, had a feeling they were friends on the show. But Maddie revealed on this podcast that it hurt her even more with the Peter and Kelley dating situation because Kelley and her were apparently inseparable throughout the entire process of the show, and people referred to them as a dynamic duo. So seeing that they were spotted together in Chicago really hurt her. She also revealed that 2 days before Kelley and Peter were spotted together, so that would have been March 23rd, Peter had apparently texted Maddie trying to get back together. She said on the podcast, quote, "To be honest, what was really confusing for me is that 2 days before he was spotted in Chicago, he was like calling me and texting me being like, I miss you, let's get back together. I think that to me was a little confusing." So she was confused by that. She was upset that this all happened. She said on her birthday, but it did not happen on her birthday. Her birthday was the 26th and this came out on the 25th. Just gonna say it right here for the record. But she did say that after this had all come out, Peter did eventually text her like explaining everything. And she said that what she told him is, what I'm confused about Peter is 2 days ago, you were telling me how much you love me and wanted to get back together. And now you're with the one person that was like my best friend. It just feels a little hurtful. And they did that on my birthday. It kind of felt like it was a jab at me to do that on my birthday and to not even reach out or anything. It was a little hurtful. So obviously from this, we learned kind of a text that was sent before Kelley and Peter met up in Chicago, and then after kind of how Peter handled it. Obviously, Maddie didn't get into details of what Peter said in his text. I wish we could get screenshots, but clearly there's some hurt going on. She also went into details about what kind of happened in the middle of all this, because obviously we know that there were a ton of rumors about Peter and Kelley before anything was announced, before we knew who he ended up with. And she opened up about this on the podcast, and I actually find this very interesting. So she said that she asked Peter about some of the things she'd been hearing about him and Kelley while they were still trying to figure their things out. And what's interesting is Maddie actually also opened up about what Peter was telling her about the whole Kelley situation while everything was still in limbo, because obviously there was a time where we had our suspicions about Kelley but didn't know who he ended up with. And apparently when she had confronted him about it, his answers contradict the current situation that was happening at the time. So obviously we don't know what was said, but what Maddie was implying is that Peter was kind of lying to her with where Kelley and Peter are now. So Maddie also went on to say that she and Kelley have not spoken in a long time, but wishes them the best. And it all just seems like Maddie was super hurt by the situation, but wishes them the best and clearly seems to be done with Peter.
On April 22nd, Peter responds to that crazy long interview. That was Maddie really bearing her soul, because she's been pretty quiet since after the final rose. Again, they didn't do any press. This was really Maddie's moment to unload everything. And let's just say Peter wasn't thrilled. He not only called out Maddie for what she said, he also unfollowed her, which in this day and age is a pretty clear show of emotion. He was not happy. He commented on a fan account that shared some clips of the interview, tagging Maddie, saying, "You'd think you'd have a little more respect for this situation, given we both know there's more to the story." Now, we have yet to get any clarification from any side on what more to the story there is. I know at the time, even with Renee going over it right now, how much more to the story could there be? I mean, she really went into detail on everything going on. So I feel as though what Peter's implying here, again, this is just my opinion, is maybe there is a small detail that was left out that kind of changes the intent behind some of the things. Again, we'll never know. This is April 22nd. At this point, for the rest of April, things kind of die down. I mean, we're left with all these things up in the air. There's a lot of question marks. The biggest one is obviously, are Kelley and Peter an item? Are there going to be an item? Is Maddie's interview going to somehow throw a wrench in everything going on with them? Like I said, the drama dies down for a bit, and we're waiting not too long. On May 2nd, Kelley and Peter sort of do a soft confirmation that the rumors are true. They are in fact together. They post a video lip singing on TikTok to "Nobody Wanna See Us Together," and the caption is a rose emoji and Kelley's name. So that was pretty much Peter, I guess, giving Kelley his final virtual rose, confirming that no one wants to see them together, but they don't care. Here we are. It's happening.
Yeah, it's funny because when that came up, that's one of my favorite songs. I remember I used to listen to it all the time in middle school. It's "Don't Matter" by Akon. Great song and very fitting for their situation. But you guys, it wasn't long until we got the official confirmation, because on May 3rd, they made things Instagram official. So Peter posted a really cute photo of him and Kelley flying and wrote, "You caught me, let the adventure begin," as his caption. Lots of people from Bachelor Nation showed their support, and Peter's parents were super sweet. They both made their little posts about Kelley. Barb made a whole collage and captioned hers "Serendipity," which brings us back to Peter's interview. Then Peter's dad shows his support in his own post, showing Kelley and him flying together, and his caption was "Happiness is finding your co-pilot." And it seems like everyone lived happily ever after in this situation.
Honestly, it is the happiest ending I think we could expect for a story that really took a long time to find its footing. I mean, it has been quite the journey for the two of them to get to where they are right now. Ultimately, I think a lot of fans are thrilled. A lot of people wanted them together from day one. I think a lot of fans are exhausted and are happy for them, but just want to move on. And there are some people out there who, let's just say aren't on team Peter and Kelley, but at the end of the day, clearly that doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. And we'll all just have to wait and see how it plays out.
I know. So in the meantime, though, we'd love to know your thoughts on this. Are you surprised that this is how Peter's journey ended up after everything? And what are your thoughts on Kelley and Peter's relationship? Are you rooting for them? Or do you think that they might break up and Peter might go for like Kelsey next? Let us know down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so we can continue to keep you updated on what is happening in Peter's love life. In the meantime, if you guys want to follow me, you can follow me at Renee Ariel on Instagram and Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. And Fiona, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on all those same places at Fiona Zaring.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you back here next time.